regions or those local groups do what they can do best in their place, and let the others do other things. And out of that, be competitive with other parts of the world. Because after all, you know, the new G7 or G8 is not France against Britain, against Germany, and against the US and the rest of the world. It's actually, it should be Europe against or in competition with other parts of the world. And this is why we need those 4 freedoms at place in Europe, and subsidiarity principle in order to be most competitive. Sorry for being so long with the short question. But if we could come back, maybe in the next round, we should also think, or maybe Anders could cover that, the new taxes that are being imposed on us at the European level, whether it's the tax on non-recyclable plastic starting from January 1st, 2021, or whether it's the tax on digital services, which will also start on January 21st, and the new one on carbon adjustment mechanism at the EU borders, which will be implemented in January 1st, 2023. And there's also the discussion on the financial transaction tax sooner or later. All those should be European taxes to finance the Next Generation EU fund, which is, you know, not very, which doesn't make much sense. And I don't think that EU taxes will help us get out of the issues that we have right now. So please, Anders, cover that, because I think it's very important that we also discuss it in our European sense.
Yes, Anders, please go ahead, and you can talk as long. I just want to say, talk as long until Crossen is back, but now he's back. But so you can still talk. Please.
No, but I agree. I think all those ideas about European taxes on taxes from the Brussels level is, of course, all of those taxes are questionable in all respects. But most of all, I think it's questionable that the European Union could have a capacity of imposing taxes on businesses, on people on their own. I think that's the first road that we should turn away from at all, because if we open that door, then we can ask the same question as before: how much money can we print in Europe? If we open that door, we can also ask how much taxes could we put from that level, because it's far from the most part of Europe. It's far away in Brussels, and the responsibility on the politicians and even on the Commission especially is very far from the voters. So it's the taxes on the European level we should be fighting as hard as possible. Then going into those different tax initiatives, I always think about sort of a business perspective. Here we throw away 800 billion euros, don't really knowing what to do with them, and then we have to find out ways to finance them. And then we say that we, for instance, introduce tech taxes on tech business. And most politicians say we have this, they talk about digitalization as the most important issue for Europe to create more value and better business climate and so on. We should digitalize everything. It's on the agenda for most politicians. And what are then their ideas about how to do that? To introduce tech taxes on those kind of business, on digital businesses. Is that the first way to promote something, to start with a tax on it? I don't think so. And I think actually it's a problem. It's not only a problem in money, because it's also sort of bureaucracy. We already have introduced European tax systems on VAT, on digital service taxes. That's one of I've been hit by that tax myself. And it's not the money, but the regulation. They're trying to find out ways to cope, and they talk about harmonization. In one decision from Brussels, I had to cope with 82 levels of VAT in Europe. And they call that sort of making it easier for businesses. Instead of using my Swedish VAT level when I was selling digital services, I had to use 82 different levels and had to find out which one to use. So I'm afraid not only for the level of the taxes, I'm also very much afraid about how they, how those taxes are designed. And the history that if you track back in history, it's not a fine history from designing taxes on European level. But I think we should also think about these taxes as, I think it's in some way, it's not only about introducing taxes, it's also they try to blame game. We try to get money from it's our money, or should it be this money from paid in one country or paid in another country? And I think they're moving the problem into the future. So they say, here is a lot, here is the pot of gold at the end of the we can see in the horizon. And they say we have a lot of gold getting from businesses like Amazon and Facebook and so on if they pay taxes in Europe. But actually, it's the same money. There is no more money to tax, actually. And I think a lot of those politicians actually know that, but they try to sell that message to the voters that there is a pot of gold somewhere. But actually, it's the same pot of gold that should be shared between all of us. So that's sort of, in some way, you could actually, I think you should even call it a scam in some way to solve it.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. And with that, I think let's turn to sort of the final round of questions, and we can start with Kristen and then go through Prince Michael, Barbara, and then Anders. Please keep it to like 1 or 2 minutes because we have 5 more minutes. And I think the only reason why I'm the moderator is because I'm German and I always have to stop on time. So kind of after, I know Anders just told us some very depressing things, but when it comes to the future of Euro, Kristen, are you optimistic when you look into the future? What would make you optimistic?
Future of Europe or the Euro?
Yeah. Well, that's up to you to decide.
So I never expected that the European Union will be such an exemplification of the public choice theory. So what Anders explained, this is one of the explanatory principles of taxation in public choice. You promise to give in order to take, So that's very strange. Mm. And I believe, retaining this policy, which is obviously happening as we speak, and with new taxes from the next year, and then the Green Deal and other things, which are in the pipeline. I think this will motivate much more. It is not already Euroscepticism. It is a process which is very similar to Catalonia, which is very similar to anything you would expect, from people who would like to vote by exiting. And it will either increase the deficiency or it will lead to the solution of the union. If the union survives, next 7 years, probably there will be something positive. But for the time being, instead, and this is very, very visible, I think, from Brexit. Basically, so-called Brexiteers, so voters in the United Kingdom, those who are responsible. And in the European Union, we have this whatever strange constellation at the moment. Everybody is blaming the European.
Prince Michael, your final comment. Oh, are you done? Yeah. Okay.
What I just want to say, and I want to put a certain grain of optimism. We have criticized a lot, and there's a lot which we can criticize. But I think what is important that also now
I always see opportunities, and I think as I before was a bit pessimistic about the tech taxes and so on. On the other side, we can always see that new technology and new ways to create business and so on always find a way through new regulations and to create more freedom and value to the users and the customers and some wealth also to the investors. So I'm always optimistic, and I think I actually like European Union as an idea for free trade and so on. So I think I'm optimistic.
Beautiful. So with that, I think we can end it on a perfect note. Thanks all to the panelists for joining. Thanks for the audience for joining us today through this hour. The next session is in 2 hours, 3 p.m. Argentinian time with Marian Tupi. And I hope to see you there because I think it will be great. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
Bye-bye.